Welcome to They Said, She Heard, the podcast where words become turning points. I'm your host, Samantha Gibson. Here we talk with leaders, dreamers, and change makers about one simple question. What was said to you, and how did it move you forward, set you back, or make you rebuild? Because sometimes the words that break us are the same ones that build who we become. So you guys know, in true fashion, I'm going to give a huge weekly shout out to Great American Title. Their podcast studio has officially, by all my guests, been complimented. Everybody seems to really enjoy it. And so we are going to continue here until further notice. So I hope the acoustics and everything are great. For those of you that have any title company needs, whether it's residential or commercial, I would love for you guys to consider Great American Title. I have had a great working relationship with them for numerous years, and I will make sure to tag them. I also want to give a weekly shout out. Those of you that have been listening to the podcast, sharing the podcast, words are coming my way that you are sharing, you are reviewing, you are commenting, and I want to continue just saying thank you for that. We are growing organically. We are growing through word of mouth. And I am so excited that those of you that have been listening are finding this to be of true value. And the private messages that you guys are sending me have just really been inspiring, and it's reminding me to continue the course. So thank you to all of you that are following and listening. I truly would not be doing this without you. We're going to go ahead and hop in. I am going to introduce a guest. I met her through networking.
Yes.
And when I met her, there was something about her person that inspired me that I thought, yeah, I want to get to know her a little bit more. And that is why we're here today. So I am going to let you introduce yourself, your name, your title, and the company you're with.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. My name is Shyla Bassey with Pearl Capital Management. I am a wealth advisor, getting the opportunity to support families and people on their journey every single day to reach their goals.
I love it. So, and you guys, I think it is so important. She speaks this way on and off the podcast. She has, again, it's just, I think, a lot of my platform, I'm a huge mental health advocate. I'm a huge advocate, trauma-informed practices. I'm really big on anybody that knows me to any capacity, whether it's just social media or even personally or professionally. I am really big on making people feel seen and heard. And you truly carry yourself in such a way that makes people feel safe to talk about, in essence, one of, I think, the hardest topics to talk about, right?
Yeah.
One of the most vulnerable ones, at least.
Definitely the most vulnerable.
Yes. So thank you. I am going to go ahead and hop in, and I'm going to ask you the question of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I try to keep our time down to the 20 minutes so we respect everyone's time. So my internal clock will let me know when it's time to wrap up, but we are going to have this conversation all the way through until we get there. Are you
Sounds
good?
great. Yes.
Perfect. All right. So what is something said to you, and how did it move you forward, set you back, or make you rebuild?
Yeah. It's interesting because I received what I'm about to say. I received this information when I was in college.
Okay.
And the statement was, the life you want is on the other side of fear. And hearing that statement honestly set the stage for not only my journey through corporate and taking those leaps of faith of, should I apply for this role, even though I feel like I should wait another year? Should I step into this opportunity, even though I feel like there's another person more qualified than me? And so I realized, man, when I really reflect on the life that I want is on the other side of fear, it's fueled every decision I've made in my life when I was not always ready to take that next step. And so I feel like that has been something that's carried me forward, no matter what I do in life, right? When we take those steps in our personal life of trying something new, it's okay to do it afraid, but we miss the opportunities if we don't ever try and take those leaps, or even just do it no matter what the fear internally is.
Yeah.
Taking those leaps has changed my life, truly, personally and professionally.
Okay. So because you have not been here for the other episodes, we've been talking about fear, each one.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So there is I did an exercise. I posted it on LinkedIn and through other social media about 5 people I found inspiring. It's based on a book that I've been reading. And one of the people that I posted, her name is Judy Holler.
Oh.
She is an author and a speaker.
Yeah.
And is fantastic. But her, she has a book about fear, and she has a new one. She just released another one, and she is awesome. And she has been up until that point. So I came across her book, her podcast first, actually, and then her book, and she had a planner. Like, I buy anything and all things Judy Holler. I am like a diehard fan. She lives in Arizona now,
Okay.
but she commented on my LinkedIn post and just reminded me to continue even through the fear. But she was such a catalyst and helping me understand what fear is, because I've been a mom for so long
Mhm.
that I didn't know what boundaries were, and I didn't know what fear is, because I didn't, and I still don't to a big capacity, have a lot of room for fear to live, because
Yeah.
I'm in survival mode. So a lot of the podcast audience are people in what I call corporate America,
Yeah.
right? So people that are working. So we are juggling work, we are juggling life, we are trying to find a space somewhere for self.
Mm.
Do you mind? Because I'm really curious about this. Walk me through what fear internally feels like for you. Like, what does that truly felt like? And then how does it live outside as examples for people?
Yeah. For me, fear internally feels like pressure.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is internal pressure, knowing that there's something more that I have desired, something more that I feel like I have the ca- capacity and the capability to do. But it feels like internal pressure because I don't feel like I was living up to the expectations of what I put on myself.
Okay.
And so that internal pressure sometimes would feel like it could turn into anxiety. Like, why am I not operating in a space where I'm fully at joy, fully at uh, fulfillment because I'm sitting on this desire? And so, whenever I took those steps forward in
Mhm.
fear to whatever that next chapter of my life was, it turned into relief. And it allowed me to really reflect on what was I truly afraid of. And oftentimes, what I was most afraid of was not even the reality of what was happening when I got into those new positions or opportunities. And I think about something I stepped into, I think it was in 2020, right before COVID.
Okay.
And it was a step I wanted to take into getting into the acting and modeling space, totally independent from my profession. But because I said, why not?
Sure.
The fear was there, like, what if I don't get accepted to join an agency? But I just went and did it. And what I was concerned about was not even something that happened. They said, well, sure, join our team, join our agency, and we'll be happy to get you connected to start delivering on your talents. And so I think just a lot of times what we internalize as the fear, I'm sure you've heard that acronym, false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
What we're mostly afraid of is something that's not even going to happen when we take that step into whatever that desire is, whether that's jumping into a new position at work,
Mhm.
stepping into a passion that's been sitting in our notes, right in our phones, or just trying a new hobby. A lot of times the fear is not even real, and we just have to take that step into it.
How does that Okay, so, well, I'm known for going I step backwards to go forward. So the
Yeah,
first quick one, just, are you still working with that agency?
I am still with that agency.
I love Okay, and we're getting together for lunch, you guys, after this, so I am gonna get filled in, because, and then we're gonna have an episode about all that,
Uh-huh.
because I think that is it goes, we talked, the Lord does things in very interesting ways, right? And again, this podcast isn't about faith per se, but everybody is allowed and entitled to have their beliefs, right? And I think that there's different things that drive us. So this conversation today really hits hope for me. So I am really grateful for it. And so that was my stepping back. Now, stepping forward is fear on the outside, right? Because you carry yourself very well. I've seen you in different settings, if you will,
Yeah.
right? Um, the fear on the outward area, again. So for people that might be, maybe this episode is what really makes them go chase that dream, right? Like, we never know. What does fear look like on the outside for, like, a third party person that would be sitting in a room with you?
That's a good question because I have honestly been asked that before because people ask, Charlotte, do you get nervous? Do you get
Yes.
afraid? And I'm like, of course I do, but I don't know how I do it, but I naturally don't carry the fear. But what I told someone recently is when I have to like go and do like a speaking engagement or I'm connecting with people in a big group,
Yeah.
sometimes what I'll say to myself is an affirmation
Okay.
because a lot of times it's all internal. The fear, if I allow myself to start trembling on the outside, that's what people would notice.
Mhm.
But internally, the things I have said to myself is, Shyla, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am capable. I have the capacity. I can do it. And sometimes those are the internal thoughts I have to remind myself when I am facing something that I have a little anxiety about or I'm afraid of, so that it doesn't show up on the outside.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's been a practice that I've just developed, really have for years, of it's okay to be afraid. But I also have to remind myself, what am I telling myself internally in order to show up in the way that I
Yeah. God, that is so good. Because I even it's so funny talking about fear. Like I'm holding on to my hands tight. I don't know if you can see it or not. Y'all on the video are now going to notice. You wouldn't have known before. But, because this is, I am very honest about my mental health.
Yeah.
I'm very honest about, I will say this, I'm very honest, and yet I'm not completely transparent, social media facing on some of the things that I have gone through over my years, but certainly over the last few years, right? I am learning, one of the things I've been having to learn, not by choice per se, but it's been a blessing. The last 3.5, almost 4 years has been learning to tell myself certain things and believing them, because for many times, part of my seasons and my story have to do with allowing someone else's narrative and feedback to me to be what I believe and take for truth over my own.
Yeah.
Right. And so learning how to, for example, like affirmations. And those of you again, the LinkedIn, so many of you guys are on my LinkedIn. And that is how this podcast has really been organically growing there exponentially, is through the LinkedIn network, which again, it's a different demographic, right? Like we know this, it's different than a TikTok. It's different than a Facebook. It's different needs and desires of content. It's been interesting to me because affirmations are spoken so freely and fluidly. And I think what many times we take for granted. And I had a therapist one time, she asked, how will you know that therapy is successful? And I said, and she was a faith-driven one. And I said, honestly, I know that I hear about like God's promises, right? Like I hear that. I've heard that for a massive part of my life. However, I said, how I will know that we were successful in our sessions is if I can at least take one of those truths and not just tell you I believe it, but actually believe it.
Yeah.
Like really wholeheartedly believe it to my bones, to my spirit. And it was so interesting because what I realized is so many times I will, like even with affirmations, I think it's people say, talk affirmations. And a lot of people try affirmation, but to believe in affirmation. It sounds like you've mastered that.
Mastered would be strong, but what I can say is it's been practice.
Okay.
And even as someone that has navigated seasons of fear, and I feel like we face daily fears, weekly fears. So it's like, it's not something you just master and there's no fear. We have to have that daily, weekly, monthly fight to get over those things that may be holding us back. But I think it's been consistent practice of incorporating affirmations into just what I do, because the person we hear the most from every single day is ourselves. And it's the internal thoughts that can control how we operate every single day. And I know in seasons of my life where those thoughts became negative about myself internally. And I said, how do I turn this off? Right? How do I make sure that I'm telling myself the good things about what I'm capable of doing, the good things that I am doing, so that I didn't get lost in the space of what didn't happen. And so mastered it. I always say I'm a work in progress too. I'm not perfect. I'm still on this journey of life, but I recognize that I have to be more positive to myself in order to show up and impact anyone in any capacity. I've got to have the belief in myself that I can do it.
Yeah.
And I love that you touched on belief, because I'll never forget a mentor of mine back in 2020 just spent time with me before COVID, right? Just really layering into me the power of my belief system. Because at that time I had recently transitioned from my corporate career into the entrepreneurial world. And that was a mindset.
That is a whole beast in itself.
That was a whole beast. And him taking the time to really help me build a belief system of what I was capable of.
Mhm.
How do I bring those strengths from corporate America into the work that I do? That took time because I was very used to a specific structure.
Mhm.
And when you don't have that structure, you have to rebuild that for yourself with systems.
Yeah. Or the wheels are off the
Oh,
bus, y'all.
completely off the
Anybody
bus.
that it's people think entrepreneurship is amazing.
Oh,
I'm like, oh,
it takes time to
oh
get
my God.
systems.
Yes.
Every day could look different, but that
Yeah.
was building the discipline, but the belief system. And I love that you shared that you got to believe those affirmations.
Right.
And sometimes when I say them, if I'm not in a public space, I say them at home in the mirror. I want to look at myself, telling myself in the mirror, Shyla, I am capable.
Yeah.
Do I believe it? Shyla, I am intelligent. Shyla, I am confident.
Yeah.
And, when you say those things to yourselves, especially when you're looking in the mirror,
Yeah.
you'll get the feeling of which one you don't believe it.
Yeah.
When you're facing yourself, actually telling yourself about what's possible.
Well, and I think, you hit something really important. There's, Mel Robbins, I'm sure.
Love her.
I love me some her too. And she had a book. How I got introduced to Mel Robbins was because of the High Five Challenge book.
Yeah.
And, you guys sometimes you can be the strongest person in the room. You can be the CEO of a top Fortune 100 company, top Fortune 1 company. I don't care what it is. This is for all of us. I think it's applicable. There are moments, and I think corporate burnout is happening more at a speed that truly nothing can keep up with. We already have mental health resource shortages. That's been a long, long time. But her book, it took a simple concept, that mirror, right? The power of a mirror where you see yourself. And it's called the High Five Challenge. If you guys haven't read the book, or if you have, maybe this is a sign that you need to pick the High Five Challenge back up again. But it's all about putting your hand on that and just giving yourself a high five. In some of the darkest seasons over the last 3.5 years, that high five many times was what physically, literally got me out of the bed. It's what allowed me to keep selling houses or to stay in my career. It was something so simple, right? But it's our brain is so powerful, and it needs. There are those seasons where it needs, and affirmations too, like something I've learned, and some of you guys might relate to this, or you might be going through a season right now where you feel defective because you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I being sappy or emotional or crybaby, right? Because it doesn't change when you're a kid, and you could be 70 years old, 50, and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
When you start reading affirmations like to yourself, right? And like you said, I'm going to use the example of this mirror, because sometimes how you know what you need to work on for yourself, like what you actually don't believe for yourself, because I'm really big on feeling. Like, how do you feel inside so you understand that, okay, this is what I need? Because a lot of people don't understand what it's like to have to work on certain things because they've always just been working or providing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you say an affirmation in front of the mirror, and if you feel like you're either going to hyperventilate, or it makes you want to cry, or you do cry without control, like it just happens, like a tear comes out, or if you feel like you want to vomit or go to the toilet, right? That's a sign, you guys.
Yes.
That means I need to write that down.
Yes.
I need to process through that, whether it's with somebody you trust, a therapist, whether it's with yourself, journaling, whether it's recording yourself over and over and put that on in your sleep. That is how you know that's where you're struggling. Give yourself permission. My best advice is give yourself that permission, permission to be human, and permission to say it's something I need to start working on so I can believe in me. Do you agree?
I 100% agree. Yeah.
I think that matters. So I'm going to be wrapping us up, but before I do, there's a couple things. One of them is, what's something that you're currently learning? It could be personal, professional, both. It doesn't matter. And why did you choose that?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things I'm learning on both sides, but I think I'll lean into the personal side. One of the things I'm focusing on in this season is what slowing down means for me. And slowing down from the standpoint of, I've naturally, over my lifetime, have been an achiever. What's the next goal? You accomplish the goal, you aim for the next thing. And I'm allowing myself to navigate through this season of not always looking for what's next, and really nurturing where I'm at. And I remember coming across something online that just simply said, don't let people what's next you to death.
Oh, I love that.
And it resonated with me so much where I was just like, ooh, because I don't always give myself the opportunity to smell the roses when there has been something I've checked off the list. So in this
Yeah.
season, what I'm working on personally is what it feels like to slow down and not always have to be chasing the next goal.
That is so good. That is a good one. I told Ashley last week when we were doing recordings, I was like, I need to buy an inflatable microphone because I think we need like a mic drop because there's some of these moments that are just really powerful, right? And it's nothing has been not discussed in life anymore. Nothing has been not touched on anymore in life. But I really do believe that the older we become, the wiser we realize that it's the most simple things that are the hardest to learn, the hardest to achieve, the hardest to master, right? It's the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Because the other stuff is so easy in the grand scheme where we thought that was going to be the hardest. It's like learning how to slow down, quality of life.
Yeah.
You know?
And, I think, especially when sometimes we can relate slowing down to not having progress.
Yeah.
And truly, you can make a lot of progress just by slowing down and focusing on what's in front.
Yeah.
It's not a delay on your goals. It's not a delay on your success. It's just really nurturing where you are and feeling proud about what you're building, no matter what that is.
Well, and you guys, because I know specifically there are some very upper leadership that listen to my podcast. Yes, I'm not saying y'all's names, but I know you're there. I will say this, one of the absolute best gifts you can gift your organization, or if you were the owner of the organization, one of the absolute best gifts you can give. And I used to get a lot of slack on this in my W-2 job, if you will, because I use the phrase, let's slow down. The working world hates that phrase, slow down, because it means we're not selling, we're not producing, we're not blah, 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 blah. No, actually, when you can use that phrase and lean in fully onto that, the amount of return on investment, that your people are happier, they're not burnt out. Your leadership can truly lead by example. People can read those professional development books that you're nagging them to do. They can have a quality of life. So many things happen when you slow down, and not to mention the retention rate of your clientele and your sales growth projections exponentially grow by getting comfortable with what truly slowing down means. It doesn't mean we're not all going on the same yacht on vacation. No, it means, again, it's allowing enough bandwidth and white space to offset so that we can just be productive, be the best human being we can be.
That's exactly it. I also think of like just being even more present.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. Yes. So y'all get comfortable with slowing down. Get comfortable with slowing down. We're going to be wrapping up. Before we do, you get the last question.
Okay.
This, you're going to just read out what the question is.
Okay.
You guys, listeners, people that are watching us, she is going to, so Shyla will post the answer the day her podcast episode goes out. So when you're hearing this, it means it went out today. So make sure to go follow all her social media. It'll be in the descriptions on the podcast, on YouTube. But just read the question out and you get to answer it on your social media, however creative or simple you want.
Okay.
There you
go. What's a piece of advice you've completely ignored and are glad you did?
All right. Well, you guys, I want to thank you again for listening. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you.
We're going to have to do this again.
Yes.
I want to remind you guys, if all you get out of today's episode is feeling less alone, feeling validated in what you're going through, or maybe you see yourself about to go into the season and this resonates, I'm glad that you found us. I am truly glad that you found us. I want to remind you that I see you, that I love you, and that you matter to me. And with that, I will talk to you soon. Bye.